Today's topic is influence. I I want to start off by telling you that what I thought were my own choices were not my own choices. This is when I recognize how powerful influence is. They tell us that, you know, these are your own choices, but you have to understand that since birth, they've been marketing to us. They knew how our brains worked. They understood how uh, to catch our attention through symbolism, through, slight certain comments, through, there's this process that I learned a while back through this good book called The Power of Influence. And he says how humans have this click whirl mechanism in the mind where, there's certain things that you can say and your brain is not going to be focused on making every single decision specifically. What I mean by that is this, that your mind is not programmed to make every decision on everything, because it's a lot of brain work. You'll be drained, if you had to make every single decision. So there's your brain's looking for shortcuts to make certain decisions, and these people, I'm gonna say they, who market to us everything that we think we like and we aspire to be, is not really what we like, and until crashed and burned, not in the literal sense also, but in life with chasing things and wanting things and material things. And then I realized that I was like, man, why do I want these things? Like, what is it that is doing? Like I know that my value, how I find value is from within. Like my value is tied to my inner, voice, my inner world. And as I started to get closer to that inner world, I realized that my outer world, I was like wanting things that really weren't me. Like why do I want these things? Like why am I upset that I don't have these things? And I think there's a lot of people out there that are feeling this way, and that's why this money machine that's been created is so powerful, because it's so tied to the influence that it has on us. And I'm here to tell you that if you were to let go, you will be free. Don't get me wrong, I still like good stuff, I still buy great stuff, but it's not my main, like motivation how it once was in my life, where I needed these things, where I didn't know where this like just chase of things and material that never really fulfilled me. And when you start to get these things, you start to see that there was more desire in the wanting of them than when you really own them. And this is how influence plays a big part, and we have to be conscious. And I become more conscious of it through my kids, because I realize that my daughter is always wanting new things, and I'm like, what is she watching? Who is influencing her? And you go to grocery stores, you go to toy stores, and like for kids, they have toys at a certain eye level. You go to certain places, there's certain smells, there's certain tastes, there's certain colors, and you start to realize that it's a game that's being played to make us buy these things that we think that we can't live without, but we're gonna be fine, and I think that if we can analyze why we want certain things, I personally have come up with a rule, right? I'm not gonna say I'm materialistic, but I like good stuff. Like, and there you go. Like, where did that come from? This good stuff. But this is my explanation. If Chanel, I studied her life story. Chanel's brand today is worth 200, 300 billion. But what it took Chanel, the energy it took for her to build this brand was like, you wouldn't imagine. She was an orphan. She was a prostitute. She went through hell to build a brand, and then they try to take it from her. So you have to understand that her life's work is tied in this brand and her energy, and look where it's at today. So I'm a person that align myself with brands sometimes, because I say, hey, look, if Chanel did this, if this is what it took her to get there, that's a brand I want to be tied to. That's a brand that I want to purchase. That's why it costs what it costs, because money is not real. It's the energy to receive that energy, to put that energy in something that she created. Now that's brands as a whole. So I like good stuff, right? Like I like buying good stuff. But I have a rule now where if I really truly want something, I wait a day or two and see if I still want the thing, because it's easy to get caught up in the moment and the emotions of things, and I work hard, and I'm like, give yourself this and buy this, and why would you not get that? And you start to realize that if you give yourself a day or two, you really don't truly want that thing. Like it's like when I first bought my first Cuban chain. I have Cuban, and it took me a while to save the money to get the chain. It was like, man, like, but I saved the money to get it. And when I had saved the money, I didn't want to buy the chain. I was like, come on, man, like you saved all this money to just go throw it on something. And I get it that, it's on something that has value also, a gold chain, but it made me look at it differently. And I'll be honest with you, I put that chain on layaway. And then from there, saved on and was able to purchase it through a longer time period, but I kept money saved. And I think that a lot of us growing up and where I grew up at, we don't have that discipline. I had this conversation with my brother. We didn't grow up with our father, and now that I'm a father, I realize that I know where my son can trip up, and it's important for me to give him that boost or that push up so he's not lost in these things and he doesn't value things that don't really have value. Don't get me wrong, there are brands out there with value. I think anybody building a brand, it has its value. I'm saying as a consumer, really truly ask yourself, do you need 100 Chanel bags? This is where I'm saying influence comes in. That you buy it, you save and you buy it because you love the brand, you love how it looks, you understand it's an energy, it's a status symbol, just like Rolex, just like Mercedes. All these brands were built to be where they are. Like when people say it's just a name, it's not just a name, because I got a friend building a clothing brand and his brand is just starting, but I know what he's done to get it to a few people see it. I know the struggle and the stress that he's gone through to build this brand. Where I want to get to is that the influence comes in when you indulge. I believe that indulgence is really where you have to question the influence, where you have to question the marketing, where you don't need 5, 6 cars. Okay, you can have them, cool. Once you have them, you're gonna drive one car. Sometimes I have friends who have 5, 6 cars, and since one is parked behind the other in his garage, he's not gonna move the car to get that car out. And it's not laziness, it's just you have but so many decisions in a day, and you have to realize that influence plays a big part on these decisions. And if you become aware of the influence that things have on you, you make better decisions, because you don't have to make every decision, but when it comes to your energy, which is your money or whatever you're receiving and working to get, to pay, you have to be really conscious of how you're spending it, because it takes work to get back. And if you realize that if you accumulate it, it'll grow faster, which is things that I'm learning later in life. Like I wasn't the best money manager, but it had to do a lot with my influence and where I grew up. And it's just about becoming conscious of that.